instructed on building positive rapport with members of the community?
Objection, Your Honor. Again, relevance as to whether or not there was a headlamp on the bicycle.
Withdrawn.
Thank you.
Is there a Concord Police Department policy regarding identifying yourself to the public?
Your Honor, again, objection, relevance as to whether or not there was a headlamp on the bicycle.
I will allow this one.
We have name badges in serving suspects. We're required to do that.
Okay, and if a member of the public asks for your name, is it common response to give your name or maybe a photo?
It can be, sure.
What instances would you not respond to someone asking your name?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance as to the headlamp on the bicycle.
I would agree. I think that it is irrelevant to this charge. Your first question about the policy is I think, appropriate. This one now, what he may do in other circumstances is not relevant to what he did in the first instance.
Withdrawn. Why did you not reveal your name that evening?
I didn't know that I did. It was on the summons, correct?
It was on the summons. When you arrived on the scene that night, did you recognize myself from any encounters prior?
No.
So you didn't recall a similar incident on Old Loudon Road from June 29th of 2010?
That you did a headlight on your bike?
Well, in that instance, I wasn't stopped for having a bike. I was stopped for looking too young. But I was also audio recording you arrived on the scene third. Do you recall that incident?
Yes, I do.
Do you recall how you responded to my audio recording in that incident?
Objection, Your Honor.
That is irrelevant, again, to the situation of the headlamp. So I'll sustain that objection. Those questions dealing with this other encounter is irrelevant, other than when he did ask, the day of the stop for the bike, did he recognize you from there? That's fair. But as far as what occurred at that prior stop, that's irrelevant.
Sergeant Pearl, are you aware of a complaint filed against yourself on July 9th of 2010?
Complaint filed against me? No.
Do you believe that have you ever had a physical reaction to my recording you in the past?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Again, that is not relevant to the incident that occurred on the date that you were stopped with the bike. So many questions, you're getting too far afield, and I am going to sustain the state's objection on those types of questions for this proceeding.
It's unfortunate that that incident never got a day in court. Are you familiar with the Blick decision, sir?
Objection, Your Honor.
The Blick decision is directly relevant to recording the police, thus
Again, how is whether other than going to the proof of credibility of witnesses as to what actually occurred, how is the general policy about recording police officers, how is that relevant to just the specifics of your charge of operating without a headlamp?
Withdrawn. How often do you write citations for headlamp violations on bicycles?
Well, I'm not part of the patrol division now, so not frequently anymore.
You're on the night shift, though, correct? Oh. Do you ever issue warnings or decide against citing individuals for such a violation? And what factors do you usually use in deciding whether or not you do that?
Time of the day, locations, citizens' concerns about areas of problems.
So you stand by your assertion that you were actually withdrawn? No further questions.
Thank you. Anything else? No, Director. You may step down. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Your Honor, may Sergeant Cole please be excused?
I assume you have no objection.
Yes, that's all right.
Yes, you may.
Thank you, Sergeant.
Thank you.
Any other witnesses?
Your Honor, the state has no further witnesses in the state press at this time.
Right, Mr. Dean, at this time, it's your opportunity. If you wish to testify or present witnesses, you have the opportunity to do so. You are not required to. As you know, the state is required to prove this case beyond a reasonable doubt, but it's also your right to present witnesses or testify. Do you wish to do either or both?
The defense wishes to call Ian Clement.
All right, go right ahead. It's the
Anybody want to do that?
All right, Mr. Clement, would you come right up here, please? And before you sit down, would you please raise your right hand? Do you swear the testimony you're about to give will be the truth and the whole truth? Thank you. Please have a seat. If you would please state your name and spell your name and last name for the record.
I-A-N, Clement, C-L-E-M-E-N.
Go right ahead.
In what town you currently reside?
Concord.
Were you present in Concord on June 19th, 2011?
I was.
Do you remember what you were doing at about 2:30 that morning?
I was going on a bike ride with a couple friends.
Who was bicycling with you?
You and Viraj Thapa. Couldn't make it.
So you decided, you and your friends decided you'd be going for a bicycle ride through the neighborhood. What bicycles would you be using?
There were 3 bikes in my garage that we used.
And who do the bikes belong to?
One to me, the other 2 to my family. Not sure.
Do you remember if there was any traffic while you were bicycling?
No.
Do you remember seeing any pedestrians?
No.
Did you encounter any people while you were bicycling?
Yeah.
When do you recall first encountering someone who was not bicycling with you?
We had just left my house, came to White Park. We took a left, went alongside the park, and then I think it was right. I don't know what street that is. It was, we were going towards Rumford Street. In the parking lot of the White Park, there was like a light that was shining on us. So it was from a parked car.
Okay, so the only person that you recall out that night, other than yourselves,
Other than the police officer that showed up maybe a minute after that.
okay, so you recall seeing someone parked at the White Park parking lot
Yeah.
who shone a light on you as you biked past White Street?
Is that the street that crosses along with the main parking lot of White Park? If you come out of that, take a left. We were right at that intersection. If you took a right to go towards Congress.
When you passed by White Street, do you recall a vehicle traveling on that street?
I do not.
What happened next?
After, so we continued to ride past the park. We took a right on Rumford Street. We continued for maybe like 20 seconds, and then my friend Raj fell off his bike, so we all stopped our bikes to see if he was okay. At that point, we noticed headlights behind us, so we turned around and it was a police car.
Thank you. From which direction did the headlights approach? Okay. What happened next?
The policeman got out of the car, and I assured him that my friend was okay. I assumed the stop was, we were in the road. My friend had fallen off his bike, so we were just kind of leaving the road, making sure he was okay. So I figured that was the reason we were being stopped. So I told the cop, "Oh, my friend's fine." At which point you told the policeman you were audio recording, and I just asked the policeman if I and my other friend could just leave the situation if I was being detained or anything. He said, "You're free to go," so I left.
Okay, so at that point, you and Viraj left the scene?
Yeah.
And you weren't able to observe what happened after that?
My friend Raj was becoming a citizen, I think, the next week, and he wasn't really interested in being around any kind of, he was a little intimidated by the situation, so he wanted to leave. So I did not see the rest of the situation, went right directly back to my house.
Do you recall being asked if you possessed a red rear reflector?
No.
Do you recall being asked if you possessed a light?
Yes.
Did your bicycle have a light?
Yes.
Do you know if any of the other bicycles had lights?
All three of the bikes, by my understanding, had lights. However, my bike was the one I was riding, so I can't attest whether or not the other two had lights that were on and functioning.
Have you ever before witnessed Mr. Pearl act in a manner unbecoming his office?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance as to whether or not Mr. Ian's bicycle had a headlight on it.
What would you argue is the relevance of that line of question?
Mr. Clement was a witness to both this instance and the instance almost a year prior in which Mr. Pearl physically prevented me from recording.
Right, again, I will sustain the state's objection. This line of questioning is irrelevant to what occurred with respect to the issue of the headlight. Your questions prior to that were fine about, did he ask you about the lights and the rear reflectors? Those are the kinds of questions that are appropriate, and I certainly will continue to follow those.
Was Mr. At any point was the officer in his vehicle with the lights on situated in front of yourself while you were operating the bike?
No.
And you remember, I believe I have further questions.
Right, you may inquire.
I have no questions for this witness.
All right, you may step down. Thank you. Mr. Ian, any other witnesses?
I have no other witnesses.
Right, do you wish to testify on your own behalf?
I do not wish to testify.
Okay, very good. So you will rest at this point. All right. Now you have an opportunity to make a closing argument if you wish to do so. This would be your opportunity to tie everything together.
If I could just gather my thoughts, please.
Certainly.
is a very small dispute in the facts, but it's a very critical dispute between Mr. Pearl's testimony and what he believes may or may not have been his location, and where Mr. Clement testifies to where Mr. Pearl was when he initially saw the bicyclists. If we refer to the map, the parking lot on White Street is far more than 300 feet from Beacon Street. RSA 26686 specifically states, every bicycle operated on any way during darkness shall be equipped with a lamp emitting a white light visible from a distance of 300 feet in front of the bicycle. At no point was Mr. Pearl in front of the bicycles, shining his light or even observing them. He testified that he saw them from the side and approached from the rear. At no point did Mr. Pearl bring up a defective issue with the red reflector, with which the statute goes on to require. A red reflector on the rear of a type approved by the director, which shall be visible from a distance of 300 feet to the rear, when directly in front of the lawful upper beams of headlamps on a motor vehicle.